She called to say the wedding band was lost. Then I heard her laughing with another man in the garage. The ring is small and heavier than it looks. A modest yellow gold band that holds the temperature of my fingers for a second, before surrendering it back to the room. I rub the cloth along the inside curve where my grandmother's engraving hides, the letters shallow and stubborn. An old jeweler's script that reads, in her exact grammar, "Till the end. Don't unclench." The phrase never sounded romantic to me as a kid. It sounded like something you'd tell yourself in a crowded bus. Now it breathes in the metal like steam held in by a lid. The polish smells like oranges and something chemical. A scratch on the dining table keeps catching the light like a thin river. I tell myself I will stop polishing after one more minute, then another, and then Darina calls. Her name fills the screen like a bell. I press accept, already smiling, already composing the sentence about finally taking the ring out of my pocket because I want her to see it polished when she gets home. Because we're a week out and I want to get ahead of superstition. Her first inhale is ragged. "I lost it," she says, and the smile drains through the floorboards. "Lost what?" "The band. I've been going through every pocket, the purse, everything. I just took it with me because I wanted to show Mom. And then I couldn't find it, and I retraced my steps and I pressed the cloth flat with my palm, staring at the very ring I'm cleaning. The stupidest thought surfaces first. Be kind. The second thought is a needle. But I have it. I say, "Where are you right now?" "At the house," she says. "Downstairs. I thought maybe it slipped between the seats in the car, so I'm in the garage." Her voice thins, the sound of it extending like thread, and I hear a second sound underneath. Air moving, a heavy door rolling along its track, a man's low sentence cut in half, and then Darina's laugh, bright and short, like the top of a soda can popping. I go very still. It's not the laugh that arrests me. It's the way laughter changes the shape of truth. When you're panicked, you don't sound like that. "What garage?" I ask. My voice is steady and I hate it for being steady. "The one under the building," she says. "I dropped my keys and the band must have. I'm going to keep looking. I'll call you if I find it." The man's voice, rounder now, says something that the microphone blurs and she says, offhand, "It'll be fine." And then to me, "Don't worry, really. I'm sorry. I'll call you." The line clicks. The Polish cloth is a flag in my hand. I put the ring down slowly, as if it might detonate. The second hand on the oven clock stutters around to 7:42. Our windows face the courtyard. The sodium lamps are already up, turning the concrete the color of old bones. I slip the ring into its velvet box and set the box into the little zip pocket in my coat, the one I never use. I tell myself I am going to ask a reasonable question, to clear up a misunderstanding, to be the person I pretend to be in front of her family. Then I'm locking the door behind me and taking the stairs two at a time because the elevator is too slow for this kind of doubt. The garage is a concrete throat that swallows footsteps and spits them back in someone else's shoes. My breath fogs as if it's cold, though the air is the same as upstairs. That's what fear does, tampers with climate. I don't round the final corner. I stop at the mouth of it and listen. Someone laughs. The same high, relieved note, then a softer, lower answer. Not a shout, not a fight, a murmur, a private language made of ordinary words. I step back until my heel finds the painted line and I plant there, not moving closer, not announcing myself, my spine pressed to a pillar that hums faintly with whatever runs through buildings after dark. A rolling door slides open further in, the sound of metal riding metal, and a flood of white light pours under the gap like milk. I try to separate syllables. The man says, "Right there," and Darina says, "See, I told you. Nobody will notice." And he laughs, and the door hums closed again, and their voices dull down to a soft warren behind concrete. I check my watch and write the time in my head. 7:49. I write the phrase, "Nobody will notice." I tell myself I'm not a spy. I tell myself I'm prudent. I picture the ring box zipped away, like a secret I'm keeping from the woman I'm supposed to marry in 7 days. When the door lifts again, I slip into shadow, not ready to be seen. The light glances off a silver hatchback and then off Darina's hair, bright even under garage fluorescence. She's wearing my sweatshirt, the hem pulled to her knuckles, the exact way she wears it when she is sincere or when she is playing sincere. A man walks beside her. He is not touching her. He doesn't need to. There's a comfort there that doesn't require contact. He's saying something about documents, and she tells him she'll text. And they part at the foot of the ramp as if they rehearsed it a dozen times. She goes toward the elevator. He goes to a different door that eats him in one bite. I let her get into the elevator before I step into the lane. I watch the numbers climb. My heart is beating in my throat, not because I found anything certain, but because uncertainty has its own volume. I think of the engraving inside the ring, a command meant for some other century. I want to unclench everything. My hands, my jaw, the muscle that keeps my questions penned. But I ride the stairs up and up, past the bike room and the mailboxes and our floor that smells like someone overcooked onions. And I open our door on the same table, the same scratch in the same light, the bottle of polish sweating a clear halo on the wood. I reach for the ring box to prove something to myself, to hold on to the simple fact that I am not crazy. My fingers hit the zip pocket and come up with the box, familiar and smooth. I open it. The velvet inside has a nap so perfect it never looked real. Tiny fibers upright like a wheat field. There is an index of the ring inside that velvet. A shallow indentation, as if a body lay here once and departed. No ring. The velvet, I notice now, is a fraction paler along the seam, as if sunburned by a lighter. I run a thumb along the edge, and it catches at a rough spot. There is a tacky bead where the hinge meets the lid. Glue. I put the empty box on the table as gently as if I were setting down a sleeping bird. I check the coat pocket again, then the other pockets, then the floor under the chair, because that is what sane people do before they accuse the world. I kneel and press my palm to the cold of the floor as if the ring will signal back. The box stares up at me like an open mouth. Through the window, the courtyard hums with someone's radio and the soft cough of a car's ignition. I can hear the elevator drop and open, the soft thud of Darina's step. She comes in with wind in her hair and a red flush on her cheeks. She sees me, and her face arranges itself beautifully into concern. "Any luck?" she says, meaning the ring, meaning the garage, meaning the version of me who never doubts. "I thought you had it," I say. My voice sounds like it belongs to the man who pays utilities. "I took it to show Mom," she says, quick, like pulling off a Band-Aid. "I know you wanted to keep it safe, but she's superstitious and wanted to see it again, on my hand. And then I couldn't find it, and I panicked, and I called you," and she drops her gaze and lets her mouth tremble a fraction. She's good at this. Or maybe she's simply herself. "I'm sorry." I set the box between us. She looks at it, and then at me, as if the answer might arrive if she holds very still. I touch the bead of glue with my pinky, and it strings, nearly invisible like spider silk. "Did you fix this?" I ask. It is too ordinary a question to fit the pounding in my chest. Her eyes flicker, the way people blink when a camera flashes. "What? Why would I fix a box?" She reaches for it, and I watch the way her fingers avoid the seam, stop just short. A dancer rehearsing a fall. Does it matter? The ring is what matters. The ring, I repeat. The apartment is suddenly full of small sounds. The fridge humming under breath, the neighbor's shower starting somewhere beyond the wall, my own pulse in my ears. "You were with someone downstairs." She laughs then, soft. "A guy who was helping me check around the drains near the car. He keeps an eye on things. He's a friend of Galina's. Neighbor Galina, who collects cameras like charms. An older woman with a small dog who watches everything through her dusty blinds. I thought 2 pairs of eyes are better than 1. What, you think I was having a party?" Her joke lands like a coin sliding under a door and vanishing. I want to say the words I heard, to repeat them back until they admit themselves. Nobody will notice. It'll be fine. I want to ask who the man was and why his voice already knew hers in that dark place under our lives. Instead, I say, "It's 8:03. Because what I can do, if nothing else, is pin the butterflies of the evening to the board of time. Let's look again," I add, and pick up the empty box, light as a lie. The box still sits on the table like a crime scene exhibit. Velvet throat empty, glue seam glistening faintly. Darina leans against the counter, phone in her hand, as if she's waiting for me to stop staring, so she can call her mother and confirm the story she's rehearsing. I excuse myself with the excuse of water, but really I want to stop the rush in my head, the pounding that turns every sound into a drum. Later, when she showers, I open the iPad we share for Netflix and grocery lists. It has no lock. It never needed one. The mail app still has her account logged in. And there in the drafts sits something addressed to an insurance company, half composed, never sent. The subject line, "Lost engagement ring. Claim." The numbers inside make my mouth dry. The valuation is nearly triple what the ring would sell for. Triple, even if you included the engraving's history. I swipe the draft away and stare at the screen's reflection of my face, split by icons. A tab still open in Safari shows "How long to process jewelry loss claim," and another for "How to word lost or stolen." My thumb hovers, then I close everything, careful not to disturb the order. I don't know why. Maybe to keep the experiment running, to see what else she'll show if I act normal. At dinner, she's soft. She serves me more than she takes for herself, rests her hand on my wrist too long, insists we'll find the band, that she will tear the apartment apart if she has to. I nod. I taste cardboard. Every word is a cushion, too plumped, too arranged. When she falls asleep with the TV humming low, I take the box again. The velvet imprint looks deeper now, as if mocking me, a cavity that used to be filled. I slip an AirTag into the box's lining and close it gently. If it travels again, if it finds its way back to the garage, I want to know. The next day, I drop by the jeweler, R. Roman, the man who cleaned the ring for me 6 months ago. He has a jeweler's magnifier strapped to his eye and squints when he recognizes me. You came for a resize, right? He says, before I've said anything. No, I answer. Why would I need a resize? He looks confused, then embarrassed, clears his throat. My mistake. I thought I had a note. She came in, your fiancé. Wanted it polished, adjusted. Someone else paid for it, thought it was for you. The words cling to the air like dust. Paid for by someone else, adjusted. I press him, and he squirms, finally admitting he was asked to take the engraving off. The phrase my grandmother carried, filed into metal, erased. She said it was a surprise, he insists. A new engraving, for you. I walk out with the buzzing of fluorescence in my ears, the afternoon sun feeling foreign. A surprise. Everything is a surprise until it isn't. That night, while she showers again, I check her messages. One group chat called Garage. 3 people in it. Her, a contact labeled R, and my stomach knots. Max. My best man. My friend since college. The messages are half-coded, half-casual. Papers ready? Don't forget the copies. Deadline before rehearsal. I close the chat, shaking. I want to storm into the bathroom, pull the curtain back, demand an explanation. But instead, I sit on the edge of the bed, listening to the water run. Thinking of her laugh echoing off garage walls, the sound of a man's voice blurred by concrete. When she comes out in steam, she smiles, towel wrapped around her hair. I think tomorrow we should go shopping for centerpieces, she says. Something elegant. I watch her. This woman who once cried in my car because a song reminded her of her father. I watch her talk about flowers and think, do I even know who's standing here? And through it all, in my pocket, my phone hums a silent vibration. The AirTag just pinged. The box has moved, and the map says it's back in the garage. Would you like me to continue with part 3/6, approximately 5,000 characters, and build the tension further with the AirTag discovery and confrontation setup? The ping glows on my screen like a wound that won't close. The AirTag I buried in the ring box now sits exactly where I thought it would. Deep in the garage, 2 levels down, near the far corner where the rolling doors breathe light. I stare at the map, then at Darina, asleep on the couch with the TV running muted. She looks peaceful, lashes curved against her cheeks, mouth slightly open. If I didn't know, if I hadn't heard, I'd think she was exhausted from planning a wedding. My thumb hovers over the play sound button. The temptation to make the box chirp like a caged bird almost overwhelming. But I don't. I want to see where it goes on its own. The next morning, I excuse myself early, pretending I have to meet a client. Instead, I park half a block away and watch our building's garage entrance. At 10:14, the rolling door groans up. Darina's car emerges, Max in the passenger seat. He's leaning back like he owns the world, one arm out the window. She says something, and he laughs. The sound carried across the street like a dare. I grip the steering wheel until my palms ache. I follow at a distance, heart hammering, until they stop at Roman's shop, the jeweler. They don't see me when they go inside, Max holding the door for her like it's habit. I wait. 20 minutes pass, 30. When they finally leave, Darina's holding a small bag, her face lit in conversation. Max leaning close as if whispering a secret. They don't kiss, don't touch, nothing I could hold up as proof. But the familiarity is worse than proof. It's comfort. That night, I confront Roman. His store is empty except for the smell of polish and the metallic tang of worked gold. You told me she asked for a new engraving, I say, my voice sharp. He shifts under my stare. I shouldn't have said anything, but yes, she wanted the old words removed, a clean band. She said she'd engrave something for the future, for you both. I take a breath. Did Max pay you? He doesn't answer, but his eyes do. By the time I get home, the air in the apartment feels staged. The lights dimmed, candles lit, her hair loose over her shoulders. I made dinner, she says, smiling as if everything is whole. I want to ask about the bag from Roman's, the box in the garage, the insurance draft. But when I open my mouth, she covers the distance between us and kisses me, soft and insistent. Her hands framing my face like she's silencing questions with touch. After, when she sleeps against me, I stare at the ceiling. My phone vibrates once. The AirTag has moved again, this time to Galina's garage, the one she rents out for storage. My pulse races. I think of Galina, of her rows of cameras, her obsession with security. Maybe she's already caught them. Maybe the truth is sitting on a hard drive in her kitchen. The next day, I knock on Galina's door. She opens it cautiously, dog barking at her heels. I explain haltingly about something missing, about strange noises at night. Her eyes are sharp, suspicious. Finally, she says, I have recordings, but you should talk to your fiancé before you talk to me. I leave with nothing but the promise of footage, my heart heavier than when I arrived. That evening, Darina sits beside me on the couch, scrolling through centerpiece ideas on her phone. "Do you like hydrangeas?" she asks, her voice casual. I look at her. At the way she doesn't meet my eyes, at the way her thumb scrolls too quickly, as if she can't stand silence. I think of the phrase carved into the ring, the one she erased, "Till the end, don't unclench." I wonder if she ever believed it. I don't answer her question. Instead, I say, "Where did you take the ring?" Her thumb stills. Her head turns slowly. "What do you mean?" "The night you said you lost it. Where did you actually take it?" She blinks once, twice. Then her mouth curves, not into a smile but into a mask. "You don't trust me?" My phone buzzes again. Another ping. The AirTag is moving, sliding across the map, away from the garage, toward the city's edge. I pocket the phone, stand up, and tell her I need air. She doesn't stop me. She doesn't ask where I'm going. That's almost worse than any lie. Because the box, the proof, is on the move. And if I don't follow it now, I may never know who's carrying it or why. The AirTag's map pulses on my phone like a heartbeat, each update dragging it further from home. I follow in my car, headlights cutting thin through the dark, watching the dot travel down streets I know, then onto the highway. The world feels muffled inside my cabin, like the air itself is holding its breath. At 8:32, the signal stops at a low-lit district where warehouses crouch behind chain-link fences. I park across the street, engine off, and watch. A silver hatchback pulls into one of the lots, the kind of place where people don't stay long. A rolling door yawns open, and inside I see him, Max. He steps into the light, his jacket half-zipped, talking to someone just inside the shadows. Then Darina emerges, the bag from Romans in her hand. They vanish into the warehouse. The door slams shut, and the signal dies as if swallowed by concrete. I sit there until my throat hurts from holding back shouts that have nowhere to go. Then I drive home with the certainty pressing in. Whatever this is, it's bigger than a mistake. It's a plan. 3 days later, the rehearsal dinner is a polished lie. The kind families want to remember in pictures. The restaurant's private hall glitters with string lights, soft jazz running under the clink of glassware. Darina looks radiant, hair swept back, earrings catching every flash of light. She laughs in all the right places, squeezes my hand under the table, and plays the part so perfectly I almost believe her. When it's my turn to speak, I stand. My palms are damp around the phone I've hidden in my pocket. The words in my throat feel jagged, but I let them out anyway. "Before we toast," I say, "I want to share something." I tap the screen, and the room fills with sound. Her voice, echoing in the garage. The murmur of a man's reply. Her laugh, bright and sharp, followed by her words. "It'll be fine. Nobody will notice." A ripple passes through the crowd. Her mother stiffens, wineglass halfway to her lips. My parents exchange looks across the table. Darina's smile freezes, then cracks. "That's not," she starts, but I cut her off with a swipe. The projector in the corner flickers to life, displaying a clip Galina finally agreed to give me. The grainy footage shows Darina and Max in the garage, counting bills, her face lit by fluorescent glare, his hand brushing hers as if it's nothing unusual. The room explodes with voices. Some gasp, some whisper. Her mother hisses her name like a curse. Darina rises to her feet, palms out. "It's not what it looks like. That footage, it's doctored. You think I'd—" Max shoves his chair back, stands too, and slams a fist on the table. "Enough. He's twisting this. I was helping her. That's all." His voice is too loud, too frantic, and everyone sees it. I step forward, calm even though my insides are boiling. "If it's nothing, then why the insurance draft? Why the trip to Romans? Why remove my grandmother's engraving?" I lift the box from my pocket, set it on the table, and flip it open. Empty velvet. "You said you lost it, but it never left your hands." The silence that follows is jagged and cruel. Darina's face crumples, then hardens into fury. "You're paranoid," she spits. "You don't trust anyone. You wanted proof. You planted trackers, you stalked me. You turned our families into an audience. Because you made me an audience," I say quietly. "I loved you enough to believe, and you loved me enough to gamble with everything." Her mother rises, shouting at me, at her, at Max. My father tries to calm the storm, but the truth is already loose in the room, crawling across every tablecloth and wineglass. Max leans close, his voice a hiss just for me. "You should have left it alone. You don't know what you've started." I look him in the eye, unblinking. "Then tell me. Tell everyone. Or I'll keep showing more." The evening ends in chaos. Families torn between disbelief and anger. Darina sobbing into her mother's arms while Max storms out, shoulders squared like a man heading into a fight. When I finally leave, the ring box still empty in my pocket, I know something has broken that cannot be set right again. And yet, in the quiet drive home, I also know this isn't over. Because the box still exists. The money still exists. And people like Max don't back down just because you catch them once. That night, around 2 a.m., The sound of metal jolts me awake. The apartment door rattles, then creaks open. I grab the nearest thing, an umbrella stand, and creep toward the hall. Shadows spill across the floor. When I flick the light on, I see him. Maximum, standing in my doorway, eyes wide, hand clutching something metallic. Not the ring. A key. "Stay out of this," he whispers, voice low and dangerous. "You don't know what she owes." My grip on the umbrella tightens. The hallway feels like a throat closing in, and I realize with a kind of sick clarity that the rehearsal wasn't the climax, it was the warning. Max doesn't move when I tell him to leave. He leans against the frame like we're still 20, like this is just another late-night knock and he's here to borrow a charger. The thing in his hand flashes under the hall light. A key, not mine. Long shank, flathead, industrial, not domestic. He smiles without humor. "Relax," he whispers. "It's for the garage. Galina's. She gave it to me because she trusts me to keep idiots out." "You just opened my door," I say. My voice sounds like it belongs to a stranger who wakes to noises often and never gets used to them. "The latch doesn't catch unless you pull it," he says, shrugging. "You should fix that. A lot of things you should have fixed before tonight." He glances behind me, into the dark, like Darina might be standing there and he can measure how far this can go before she stops it. "She owes people," he says, low, almost kind. "You think this is about a joyride? The ring covers it, clean. Nobody loses. Except me," I say. He laughs once, ugly. "Insurance is a game they already won. You just don't like seeing the board." He lifts the other hand, and I realize he's carrying a manila envelope that's been bent and rebent into a curl. "You want the truth? Here it is. She took a consolidation loan after her mom's hospital mess, and after your apartment upgrade and after that venue deposit you decided to go tasteful on. It's stacked. It happens. People drown quietly. I pulled her out. You taught her to counterfeit the lifeboat," I say, and suddenly my hands aren't shaking anymore. I'm too tired to shake. He steps past the threshold, and I take one step back because I don't want him touching me. He lays the envelope on the console table and fans the papers like a dealer. Statements with Darina's name. Interest rates that look like emergencies. Letters that say, "Final notice," in red. "You think she sleeps?" he asks. She stares at the ceiling and counts. "She was going to tell you, and then you started polishing your grandmother's warnings into a halo and—" "Stop," I say, because the way he says my grandmother makes my skin crawl. He looks at me like I'm slow. "The band's a relic. To an adjuster, it's a number. We had a window. We made a plan. You blew it up for a performance. You were in the garage with her," I say. "You took her to Roman. You paid to remove the engraving. That wasn't to help her sleep." Max's mouth twitches. "The engraving made it too individual. Harder to claim it's just a gold band lost in a car wash. Basic stuff." I imagine Roman's magnifier eye, the tiny file scratching away at my grandmother's sentence. Something in me uncoils and then refuses to rage, as if the anger realizes this is not the room that deserves it. Behind Max, the elevator dings. A soft, quick knock. Then the door eases further open and Darina slips inside, wearing a sweatshirt and the look of someone who ran here without thinking which shoes matched. Her hair is scraped back, eyes swollen and naked. When she sees us, her face does something I can't name. A flinch, a relief, an exhaustion that's fallen out of its harness. "Max," she says, warning and plea in one. To me, I told him not to come. I told him I'd handle it. I'm handling it. "You broke into my apartment," I say. "The latch," Max starts. "Shut up," she says suddenly. And he does. She turns to me like we're finally alone in a way we haven't been for weeks. "I should have told you," she says. "Everything. When my mom's bills got weird, when the interest clicked like teeth, when the venue guy said the discount only applied if we paid in full. I kept telling myself I'd fix it before you noticed. I didn't want to hand it to you like a test." "You handed it to him," I say, and I don't point because I don't need to. Max stands there smiling into his shoes, a boy caught and bored. Her eyes shine with tears that don't quite fall. "He said it was victimless. He said it was just paperwork and an insurance adjustment and that they planned for it. He says a lot of things," I answer. "What did you say when he asked Roman to erase my family from the ring?" Her shoulders shake once. She swallows. "I said yes." The smallest sound escapes me like a hinge turning. She hears it like a shout. "I thought I could make it up," she rushes on, the words tumbling. "I thought I'd get the payout, we'd pay the debts, I'd put the engraving back, you'd never know. Then Galina sent me screenshots about someone breaking into storage units, and I panicked. And I kept the box down there because I didn't trust myself with it in the apartment. Every choice was a worse choice. And then you played the tape, and I hated you for making me hate myself." Max steps toward her like he should fold this scene into his script. "We don't owe him a confession," he mutters. "We owe him a solution. You want one?" He lifts the envelope. "Sign a prenup so he shuts up, and I'll get the ring back from Roman and we'll line it up with the claim." "No," I say. The word lands like a door slamming on a draft. No prenup written at 2 in the morning by a man who uses a garage key like a badge. No scheme that asks me to be grateful. Tomorrow morning, you bring me the original ring. You tell Roman to hand it over if he still has a business. We call the venue. We call your lender. We call an actual attorney who isn't paid in envelopes. And until that happens, there is no wedding. Darina's hands go to her mouth. The sound she makes is small and prehistoric. Please, she says. Don't burn it all. It's already on fire, I say, and I'm surprised by the steadiness in my own voice. I'm asking you to stop fanning it with money. Max laughs like he's above weather. You'll crawl back, he says. You don't want to start over. You bought the story of yourself as a man who keeps things together. Men like that don't walk away. Watch me, I say. He points at the envelope, taps his temple. You'll call me, he says to her, and leaves, as if he's the one dismissing us. The door clicks with obscene politeness. The apartment exhales a stale, late-night breath. Darina sits on the floor between the couch and the coffee table like her knees folded without asking permission. I sit across from her. We look like the diagram of a conversation. I love you, she says quietly, as if the room is a church and love is a prayer that might still work if whispered just right. I don't know how to do the rest of it right. I learned to survive by smoothing and explaining. You loved that about me. You loved that I could turn a problem into a plan. I loved that you turned pain into kindness, I say. Not into paperwork. She nods without lifting her head. I will bring you the ring, she says. I will tell Roman to undo what he did. I will call the lender. I will ask my mother to stop pretending fear makes her smart. I will not marry you until we can look at each other without calculating. For a long time, we don't move. The refrigerator hums like it's trying not to cry. Somewhere down the hall, a toilet runs itself back to sleep. When she finally stands, she kisses my forehead like a sister and takes her coat. I don't ask where she's going. I don't follow. At 9:10 the next morning, my doorbell rings. I expect her. It's Galina, small as a question mark. Dog tucked under her arm like punctuation. She has no makeup on and a fury that glitters in places makeup can't reach. I don't like being part of children's schemes, she says by way of hello, but I like even less being made a fool. She sets a USB drive on my palm like a pill. This is the rest, not the cut down you showed at your little party, the full night with sound. Your friend pays the jeweler. Your fiancé cries. Your friend counts. Your jeweler pockets. I feel the blood leave my face and go somewhere I can't use it. Are you sure? I ask, because that's what people ask even when a yes will salt the ground. I'm sure because I stood in my kitchen and watched and started texting my sister to ask what kind of locks they put on hell, she says. You come back if you need better quality. My nephew can make a movie out of this. I want to laugh, or throw up, or thank her until we both get embarrassed. Instead, I say, thank you. And it sounds like I've just been pulled out of a river. She nods at the envelope on the console, at the empty ring box, at the life at an angle. Close your latch, she says, and leaves me with the dog's goodbye sneeze, and a piece of evidence heavy enough to tilt a week. I sit on the floor again. I plug the drive into the laptop. I press play. Roman's voice is thinner without the magnifier. Max's is fuller when he thinks no one will clip it and play it for a room. Darina's is the same as it always is when she's torn. Soft at the start, hard at the end. The camera timestamp ticks like a metronome that doesn't care what song you try to sing. When the envelope changes hands, the metal table rings like a tiny bell. When it's over, I text Darina. I need the ring. Noon. Roman's shop. Bring your mother if you want. Bring no one else. She writes back, okay. I close the laptop like the day needs darkness to start. And I stare at the empty box that used to hold a sentence. I think of my grandmother's hands, papery and sure, sliding the band off to show me the words. Till the end. Don't unclench. I unclench my fists and they ache as if they were the only muscles I've been using to hold us together. At 11:58, I put on my coat. The street smells like coffee and bus brakes and August sun on asphalt. I carry the USB drive in my pocket like a second pulse. I'm not going to a fight. I'm going to collect what was mine before it became a number on a form. After that, there will be a room with 2 families and an ending that deserves its own quiet. But first, the ring. Roman's shop smells the same as it always has. Metal filings, polish, and the faint sting of ammonia. But today the air feels thicker, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. Darina is already there when I arrive, sitting in one of the red vinyl chairs by the counter. Her mother stands behind her, arms crossed, jaw tight like she's keeping her words holstered. Roman hovers behind the glass case, his magnifier flipped up, eyes darting between us like he'd rather be anywhere else. I step forward and place the USB drive on the counter. You know what this is, I tell Roman. Footage of you taking money from Max. Footage of you pocketing cash while you erased an engraving you had no right to touch. If you have any interest in still being in business tomorrow, You're going to give me back the original ring. The real one. Right now. His face drains. He looks at Darina, then at her mother, as if one of them might shield him. Neither moves. Finally, he ducks into the back and returns with a small velvet pouch. My chest feels tight as he slides it across the glass. I open it. There it is. My grandmother's ring. The band still warm from his hands, the words still intact. Till the end. Don't unclench. Not gone. Not erased. Not yet. I close my fist around it, and for the first time in weeks, I can breathe. Darina rises. Her voice is low, raw. He was supposed to file it down. I begged him not to. I wanted the money, but I couldn't lose that part. I told him if he touched it, I'd tell everyone. I don't even know if he believed me. She looks at me, and her eyes are glassy with tears. I was drowning. I thought if I could just float long enough, I'd make it to you. Her mother cuts in sharply. You needed to be practical. You think love pays debts? You think vows erase interest rates? You should thank Max for having sense. I turned to her. Max saw desperation and called it opportunity. That's not sense. That's rot. My voice shakes, but I let it. And you taught your daughter to worship rot dressed as pragmatism. The silence after is heavy. Darina covers her face with her hands. Her mother mutters something about mistakes, but it doesn't matter. The ring is in my pocket again. Safe, untouched. That evening, both families gather at my parents' house. No decorations, no string lights, just a living room where the truth has to stand without props. I tell them everything. The insurance draft, the erased engraving, the garage, the footage. I don't spare anyone. I play the full recording from Galina's cameras on the TV, Roman's voice sharp as a blade, Max's laughter like gravel in a tin. When it ends, the room is split open. My father shakes his head, silent fury in his eyes. My mother looks at Darina with something like pity, something like grief. Her mother defends her weakly, words crumbling the moment they leave her mouth. Darina doesn't fight. She stands in the center of it all, trembling but upright. I lied, she says simply. I thought if I did, I could protect him from my mess. I thought if I played the game right, he'd never know. But I wasn't protecting anyone. I was just hiding, and I don't deserve you. She looks at me then, and her voice cracks. I love you, but I don't deserve you. There's nothing to say to that, nothing but silence. I take the ring from my pocket, hold it up for everyone to see, and then slip it back into the pouch. This belongs to my family, I say. Not to an insurance claim, not to a scheme. And until I can trust someone with it, it stays with me. Darina breaks then, a sob tearing out of her. Her mother pulls her close, muttering about fixing things, but I know this isn't something you fix. It's something you end. The engagement is officially over the next morning. I call the venue, the caterer, the florist. Cancellations echo in my inbox like nails sealing a coffin. I mail the footage to an attorney with a note. Do what you need to do. Roman will face the fallout. Max disappears from my life like smoke. Weeks later, I sit at my grandmother's grave with the ring in my palm. The engraving catches the sun. Till the end. Don't unclench. I laugh softly, bitter and warm at the same time. I always thought it meant hold on tight, never let go. Maybe she meant the opposite. Maybe she meant know when to release, when to loosen your grip before it strangles you. I slide the ring back into its box. Its real box, not the glued counterfeit, and zip it into the inside pocket of my coat. It feels lighter now, not because the metal changed, but because I finally did. Darina moved out of the city. I heard she's working again, quietly, starting over. I don't wish her ill. I don't wish her anything but the strength to stop smoothing problems into lies. Max is gone. Roman changed his shop's name, but word travels. As for me, I carry the ring like a reminder, not a promise. A line cut into gold that survived schemes, lies, and desperation. Till the end. Don't unclench. But I did unclench, and in that release I finally found myself.